Welcome to Sports Back Talk with Boley and Ringer, and it's Olympic time. I'm sure you've been watching the moguls and the half pipes. I'm sure that's right up your alley for sports, right?
I've been watching a little bit, but I kind of watch where the Americans are kind of contending for some medals. Like last night, they had the women's
figure skating.
Well, they had that. I did watch parts of that. There were some pretty awesome performances there. Americans got a bronze medal in that, but the one I was watching is the Jamie Anderson got the gold here 4 years ago, and she got it again last night, and they were under adverse conditions, and it was windy, and about only, I would say, 10% of the girls made it all the way through the three jumps and down to the bottom, and which is unfortunate. It's kind of an exciting event.
You know, the scary part is they were talking, the wind has been a major part of this. They've had to cancel some of the downhill stuff, and I know they're hoping to get in some tonight because, well, we're taping this at 5:30 on Monday, so it's getting to be like 9 o'clock in the morning Korean time, and so the events are starting to come up, and but it's unfortunate that they're having to keep pushing these events back to ski jumping and the rest of this stuff. I've been enjoying watching the biathlon myself. I just think how tough it is to think to go, go cross-country ski for a mile and then come in here and shoot these 5 little targets that are I just find it interesting to try to be able to do that. I mean, maybe not be a true sport, but that's how all sports started, shot putting and discus, because you're trying to kill somebody. So I guess you were trying to hunt something down, so it makes sense, I guess.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you and I got in this conversation before on the Summer Olympics. And I think the gist of it all is I think a lot of these events are just made up. I mean, seriously. Okay, let's go cross-country skiing. And then you got your NRA guy back in there over on the right, and he says, well, why don't we add guns to it?
Yeah.
Okay, so all of a sudden we had guns to people and put them on the shoulders.
They actually explained it this morning that when in the old days when people used to have to go out hunting in the north, they put on their cross-country skis and they went out hunting. That's why this sport came. That's how they explained it on NBC this morning. So.
You sure it was snowshoes and not cross-country skis?
Could have been.
I'm wondering why snowshoe racing isn't on there.
Don't push it, Michael. People might be watching, and you might get that.
Be. Well, think about the one sport in the summer: walking. Speed walking. That's what I'm saying.
And you got to watch them for cheating in case they're not running.
Okay, we got luge, which was brought up. We had this conversation. Brought up after the bobsled.
Yeah.
Okay, some guy sitting in a bar in England, probably Ireland, drinking a few too many pops. He says, "Well, why don't we go forward on the sled? That's what we did when we were kids. What should we call it, Joe? I don't know, skeleton." So then there's another sport. So they just continue to just add sports like figure skating now. Now we got teams. And we got 3 events, and nobody figures out how a Canadian can fall 4 times and still win his event. And like my wife said, whoa, the other guys all must have been pretty bad. So again, they said, well, it's all in the technical score. Like the Canadian announcers are saying, well, it has a lot to do with his technical and what he does with his dance moves. No, he jumped 9 times. He fell on 4 of them. Okay, disqualification. So again, I don't know where they bring any umps in. Maybe the same Irish bar
was it you or
invented the skeleton.
Was it you or somebody else that told me that it's not a sport if they have to judge it? Was that somebody else or was that you?
That would not be something I would say.
Okay. I must have been, because somebody said if you're talking about figure skating or the mogul stuff where they got to put all these judges in, or the ski jumping where they're going to get judged on their technique and all, he said I want something that you can keep score. There's no judgmental. It's either here or it's there. It's in the net or it's not in the net. You can see it with hockey or something else. So sometimes I think about that, but I mean, so many of the Olympic sports are done that way. Are judging sports that you wouldn't get to watch a whole bunch.
Oh, I have made this comment. It shouldn't be a sport if they can bring the beer to you. So that's why golf should be classified as a hobby, even though it takes great hand-eye coordination. So you have to be an athlete, but borderline, because bowling, bring the beer to you.
Okay. How about curling?
Curling, they'll bring the beer to your table. They can't actually bring the beer to you on the ice.
Okay.
Because most people can't walk with one boot slippery and one boot not anyways. Okay, so to me, alcohol and curling should not be a good mixture for what
it
could
be
be
dangerous.
happening. Yeah. So a lot of accidents.
So have you watched any of the mixed doubles curling with just two people? Have you watched it? I mean,
Yeah.
Are you into rather than the four people into the two? Does that make a difference?
I find it amazing how good the Canadian team is and how bad Jim Gaffigan is. You know Jim Gaffigan, the comedian?
No, but I'm trying to put him
Well, he looks like the American guy who curls for the U.S. team.
in. Okay.
I said, Diana, there's Jim Gaffigan, and he's brutal. I think he's like 1-7.
They're one and
So I thought it was Jim Gaffigan. He's a comedian who's pretty good, and he kind of reminded me of Jim Gaffigan. Do you know who Jim Gaffigan is? Okay.
He actually is curling with John Schuster, the guy who was
he's on the team?
He's on the men's team, and I believe it's his sister that he was curling with. And
Yes,
I'm
it
not
is.
sure. I'm not sure if she's on the women's team or not, but I know he's like the third on the men's team.
If I was Schuster, I'd be calling Eveleth and trying to find like one of the Padamoviches or Janellinis or whatever range name. I would kind of tell him he could go home.
I actually got to see the Canadian team for the first time last night when they were in the semifinals, and John Morris, if you follow curling at all in Canada, John Morris is like, well, he's like a god. I mean, he can make every shot. There's nothing he can't
Is that the
make.
guy on the mixed team?
On the mixed
Very
team.
good.
And he made a couple of shots, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
holy
Is he their skip on the American team?
on
Or
the Canadian team? I think that he is the skip on the Canadian team. And he actually, Kevin Martin's on the NBC Sports. He's doing the kind of the color for some of them. And he used to curl with Kevin Martin, and they were unbeatable. They were unbelievable. So
Well, say you're in that Irish pub. Let's go back to my little Irish pub where they invented skeleton. If you're in an Irish pub with your buddies, you know, your 3 other curling mates, you probably don't, like if you're there and there's a bunch of women and you may be interested, you're a single guy and maybe, you know, dating one of them, you might want to not tell her that you're the lead on the curling team. That's basically that tells them you are the worst curler on the team. Okay.
yeah, in some respects,
Similar to like when you go into the same Irish pub and you say you're in a band and they ask what you play and you say I'm the bass player. You know, probably not the most, you know.
Ouch! Look at Thane over here.
Well, I'm serious.
No!
The lead guitar and the lead singer and the drummer are definitely going to get the.
Yeah, they're getting the chicks.
They're getting exactly.
They're getting the chicks.
That's what I wanted you to say. So, just some tips out there when you go to that place, the Irish pub who has people that invented the skeleton. Don't use those lines.
So the guy who was the lead though probably can throw up a guard way better than he can throw in a takeout. So might be the reason why he's the lead. Maybe not because he's the worst curler, and it might be because the son of a gun can sweep like the Dickens. And
No, he's the worst curler.
Okay, fair
yeah, guard.
Downhill skiing, you don't have to be good, just crazy. Going down a mountain.
downhill skiing. Yeah, everybody's talking about this Michaela Schiffer. What's her Schiffer? Is that, have I got it right?
Sounds good.
Everybody's talking. They canceled the women's downhill yesterday, or the giant slalom, one of the two, and she said, "I'm going down the hill anyway."
Yeah.
And everybody, as she went down the hill, everybody was like, "There's your gold medal winner right there." And I'm like, "What are you talking?" You could watch her as she was doing the practice run. That she's that good, you know. I
guess she's pretty dominant. Who was it? Alberto Tomba,
yeah,
the Italian fellow who's basically couldn't lose in the slalom.
yeah.
She's kind of looked at in the same breath.
Okay,
So we'll see. I mean, racing time, it changes a lot of things. Olympics changes a lot of,
puts the pressure on.
you know, butterflies. You got a question, other one?
Yeah. Okay. So, well.
Anyway,
so-
we better move on.
Let's move
get
on.
out of that Irish pub.
Let's get out of that Irish pub. You want to get into an Irish pub in downtown St. Paul and talk about the Wild?
I've been in a few. Liffey's is one of my favorites. Is in the Holiday Inn Express right in there, and
Pat McGovern's.
Patrick McGovern's.
That's a great place. I
2
love
blocks down the road. And Tom Reed, I guess Reed.
I have
would be-
never been in Tom Reed's.
It's a nice place. It's more of a sports
You
bar.
can't get in there, it seems
They have
like,
a
whenever
penalty
I walk
box where you can sit in there and wait for a table to open.
Okay.
It's kind of unique, but it takes about half hour to an hour to even get in the penalty box. So you got to go there early, and great burgers. good fun atmosphere.
How'd the Wild do this past week in your mind?
Well,
Oh boy.
I've come to conclude they're just going to drive me nuts for the rest of the year. Okay? They tease. I mean, 3-0 on Arizona, let them come back. They're kind of like, when I brought that up in Twitter and you got mad at me. You know, both the Timberwolves and the Wild flirt around mediocrity all year round and are, what do you call it? I said a word for it. Not overrated, but underachieving.
Underachieving, I think was the
And
word.
they are. I mean, the Wild show
How can you say the Wolves are underachieving? They're by their power ranking, they're 6th best in the NBA, 4th in the Western Conference. In my mind, they're 35 and like 24.
But we've
they haven't won 35 games
We've
this
lost
early
this-
since like 2000.
We've lost to 6 teams that have 10 wins.
Okay, so
Kinda like the Wild losing to Arizona.
So what about Cleveland? Where you want to put Cleveland? The NBA now, Cleveland. Where
That
you
thing's
want?
a mess.
That's-
They did win again last night. LeBron had to introduce himself to the team. I had no idea who they were. But as far as getting back to the Wild,
Good thing they had on the same color jerseys. You mean?
yeah.
Yeah. Getting back to the Wild.
I predicted they would lose 4-3 against Chicago, and I had the 3 right.
You had the 3 right.
They ended up getting a shutout, but Dubnyk still had to make 44 saves. Again, a lot of the shots I asked my connection, Jesse Pierce, who I'm still trying to get on our show. She's writes for the NHL, and I heard she's with the Athletic now, so she might be too big for us. Oh, the
Well,
Athletic.
maybe we're gonna have to go on the road to St. Paul and see her and tape
Well,
the show down there.
she's part of the Serwa family on Grindstone there, so she definitely comes up here. So we got that going for us.
Okay.
But again, being with the Athletic, she said she would be on, but now she's kind of a big shot. And
Sure.
they kind of leave us little shots, back in the dust. But I don't think she's like that. So we'll still try to get her on there, and then we'll kind of go from there. But I just wish the Wild could play a little more consistent and work harder and
I think that's probably the biggest thing that I always hear you say: working harder, and you can always do that. You don't have to be
No.
good and whatever else. You're going to lose sometimes, even when you're working hard. Those things happen.
they got to realize every game right now is
Almost
is
a playoff game,
game.
yeah.
And
That's
it
hard to believe
did
with
well
two-
for Nashville last year because they came in on a high. They were playing their best hockey, and they made a run and got to the Stanley Cup Finals as a number 8 seed. Well, if the Wild make it, it will be as a number 7 or 8 seed, and they'll have to beat a Nashville or Winnipeg to move on into the playoffs. So I think they're all right. I still don't think they're going to make it. I might change my mind in another month, but we shall see.
So
Can I change my mind in a month?
you always do. So do the Wild need to make a move? Do they need to do something else? They
No.
brought in Louvre or whatever since the last time we talked about it. Am I saying that name right? I haven't.
I don't understand. Everybody's like Russo and them are talking like he's going to play. He's a career minor leaguer.
Okay.
He's played 4 NHL games. Now we already got a borderline minor leaguer. The reason we play him is he's a good number 6D. He plays hard. He's a rock guy. People love him on the team, and he's solid as a number 6D and Nate Prosser.
Yeah.
This Louvre guy, we got Sealer, we got Murphy kid, we got Susie. Those are 3 right there that are better than this Louvre guy. So I don't know what the big deal was. I would be real surprised if Louvre plays an NHL game with the Wild. If he couldn't play in New Jersey, whose top 6D are not as good as the Wild, how does he expect to play for the Wild?
So I'll go back to my question. Do we need to take that phone call? Are we getting a phone call?
No, it's.
Is that something we're supposed to get on the
I
show
will
tonight?
answer it. Hey Terry, how are you? You're live on the show. Do you want to talk? Good. You want to be on the show right now? Okay, Terry Heinrich's on the phone, but he's hanging up.
He does not want
That's
to be on.
my brother-in-law. And what was the question?
So
Again,
do the Wild need to make a move?
No.
I guess is what I'm asking.
They made one. They did bring up Nick Sealer. He's playing tomorrow night. Ex Nebraska Omaha, and then I believe he transferred to the Gophers for just 1 year, and then he signed with the Wild. So he's been down in Iowa for about 2 years. He's mean. He's got some size. And he skates well. He played at Eden Prairie High School.
So you're telling me that this is what This is because Stewart's going out. Because Stewart won't do it, they need to bring somebody in that will
Sealer
do
can
it.
add that, but he's a lot like Prosser in that regards. But you got to remember they got Anaheim coming up. Okay, who do they play tomorrow?
I'm not sure.
I should know that, but anyways. Sealer's a little tougher. Mikey Riley obviously is not doing what Boudreaux wants him to do in the back because this was his job to lose. It took him 2 games, and they're already bringing up Sealer. They were already bringing Louvre. They already sent Louvre back to bring Sealer up, so that rested my case on what I thought Louvre being a bona fide American Hockey League player. That's what he is.
Sure.
So we'll see if Sealer can stick. He's mean and he can move the puck. He skates well, so I like the move. Let's see what he has.
Fair enough. Where was I going with my thought? Oh, I know. Last night I'm watching the Timberwolves. In between the Olympic commercials, I'm zipping back and forth, doing my best channel surfing, and of course they're playing the Kings, not one of the top teams in the Western Conference, and of course
they almost lost again.
As I'm thinking about watching them, and the only person I can think about is you,
Yeah.
and how they're going to blow this with a lead of 5 points in the final minute or whatever.
And they have lost quite a few of those.
They've done that a few times, and but they hung on and did what they had to do. Jimmy Butler comes through again with a big 3 and a big steal in the closing moments to seal the deal. I'm sure you weren't watching though.
I refuse.
You refuse.
I'm not watching that. I mean, seriously.
So you're going to watch
They got
them when they
Towns, they got Wiggins, they got
when they start making
Butler, they got
when they're playing the
Teague.
when they're playing the Warriors or the Spurs in the Western Conference semis or the finals. Are you going to finally come around and watch this team?
This looks like a Border Bar pizza bet coming.
Oh, I'm already.
Maybe let's change that. Let's change that to a Rainy Lake
How about?
Grill bet.
Okay,
'Cause we're in
because I'm
Rainier.
already going to Boomtown.
Okay.
I know that.
Yeah. How about we make a bet? We'll make a bet on that next show.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
But the Timberwolves, to me, I don't waste my time. I won't watch them. Underachieving. I like Jimmy Butler, though. He's not underachieving. But
Underachieving. Jeez. What?
they
what
should
do
be up
you
there. They
want
should
from
be up
this
there
team?
with Golden State and Houston, and they are. They're back there with Oklahoma City, Memphis, Utah. You know, the wannabes that
you are improbable.
the wannabes that can't be.
Wiggins and Towns are still 22 years old. Freaking Jordan didn't do a blessed thing until he was 27, 28.
Well, that gives me hopes then. I mean, that means we're going to be good in a couple of years.
You're busting their chops and they're only 22. Huh.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about next?
Water.
So, you want to talk local next? You want to go north? You want to talk NASCAR with Daytona 500 coming up this week and all?
Yeah, who's this new guy? That's
What the heck? His name came across and he's like, he's the pole, and I'm
like Skeeter Moore or something?
that's a huge Skeeter Moore. Jeez.
I'll explain that later.
So, yeah, do you are you into NASCAR at all? We haven't really.
I was for a couple years when the Caviaks and McBrides would all invite me over, and now I don't know if they're into it anymore. But I'd go over there, and I'd always cheer for Jeff Gordon because I knew everybody hated him.
Yeah.
So
there you go. So will you watch the Daytona 500
will I
on
watch
Sunday?
the Daytona 500 on Sunday? I might give it a look-see.
As you're flipping back and
How's
forth
that?
between that and the Olympics?
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Boy, I can't wait to hear this.
The owners are here now, and they're wondering why I'm up here doing this.
Because you've never done it before.
It was actually part of a shtick we were doing, kind of act like I was somebody.
Like you were somebody.
So I'm getting ignored. The owners are looking at me like, who the heck does he think he is? I was going to get kicked out halfway through the show.
And if you haven't guessed, we're back at Looney's, and
I do want to get one of these two up here in a little bit. But
and you want to talk about the remodeling?
I do.
Every time we walk in here, it's new.
Yeah.
This is the new loonies again.
But they did something I'm like flabbergasted at.
Oh, you like that, don't you?
I do, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
You come on here in
The one on the
about,
back?
in about, yes,
Yes.
I did. I tell you what, I could smell 60-inch TVs. All right? So, yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's continue on for another 5-6 minutes on whatever.
You want to talk local?
Well, you're in the Daytona 500. I don't know where you're going next. We're going back to the Olympics?
No. You want to talk about spring training that starts tomorrow? You don't want to
Does
talk
start tomorrow?
tomorrow?
Pitchers and catchers?
Pitchers and catchers report tomorrow, I think it is, or Wednesday.
Well, I saw
15th, I think.
somebody's mom over in the Dominican got kidnapped for 3 days.
Oh, not too
I saw a
shabby.
pitcher
Wow.
for the Chicago White Sox get busted for like cocaine and a bunch of other things.
Yeah,
So
big
they're
time.
off to a good start in the Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I know. I was reading the Star Tribune over the weekend, and I know they were hoping that Miguel Sano's punishment, non-punishment, whatever is going to happen, that the Twins were hoping that they would know, like, before spring training started, whether they are going to need to find a third baseman for a month, 2 months, 5 months. Who knows what they're going to do here with this situation? But
But again, this is all just accusations.
Yeah.
Me and Ringer know nothing about what's going on or why and anything. So I guess we'll wait.
but the Twins would like to know
Yeah, I don't blame
as soon
them.
as possible what baseball's going to do.
I see
And-
Darvish signed with the Cubs.
Yeah, is for 126 million for 6 years. That do the math, 21 million a year. I don't think the Twins were interested in 21 million a year for a guy who didn't look very good in the playoffs.
They're looking for 2-3 year contracts also.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big contract for a guy who looks like he could be on the downturn.
I agree.
Second
And-
half of last
But
year.
when you're the Cubs, you can do whatever you want. Because,
Well, that's the thing.
Because those suckers are going to keep coming back. Now you win one.
you going to Wrigley with us this year?
You win one World Series every 100 years, and all of a sudden everybody's back in your good graces. So.
Go to Wrigley with us this year?
We talked about this. If I can find a flight from Minneapolis to Chicago, yes.
You don't want to drive?
Well, here's the thing. Remember, I told you I'm coming back from Seattle on the 29th.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm kind of in a quandary. I would love to go watch the Twins and the Cubbies.
My brother's gotten in so deep on this. Okay, we'll go watch the Cubbies and the Twins for 2 days. We'll leave on a Sunday. We'll get to Milwaukee in time to watch 2 games in
Oh,
Milwaukee.
he wants to go to Milwaukee. Well,
Right
see,
after.
Because they play in Milwaukee over the 4th
Yeah,
of July.
yeah.
Oh, I could make that work. In
But I
my
got a
schedule.
tradition that I've been doing for the last 11 years.
On 4th of July?
4th of July up to Kettle. And hopefully,
Traditions are meant to be
and
broken.
then hopefully back. You know,
Hopefully.
well, it depends how depends.
Safely. Please get us
Depends
back
on how
home.
many pink things I have. I got to keep them to a minimum.
Get them all the way back here to Rainier.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I kind of told Gerald that I don't want to take too much time off of work because you don't get treated real well in Milwaukee. Chicago Cub fans treat you good, but Milwaukee fans, Green Bay fans, it's nothing close to being Eagles fans, but they treat you a little tough.
Okay. You want to talk anything about local? I've been trying to
Yeah,
go.
let's talk a little bit.
You
know more about.
You want to talk about the girls hockey, the game?
Yeah,
the
we can
2-1
talk
the
about
other
that.
night?
What are your thoughts on it?
I've had a chance to talk to a few people. I've heard some good. I've heard some bad.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it was too bad the Broncos not making the finals, and of course 2-1 loss to Proctor Hermantown in the section semis, and it was an even game. We knew it was going to be close. We knew it was going to be a 1-goal or 2-goal game at the most, and that's exactly what it was. And the Broncos won 1 with 2.5 minutes remaining, and hey, it goes the opposite way, and the kids laid it out on the line. I don't have any. You talked about the Wild. Come on, give us 100%.
Yeah.
That's what the Bronco girls did. They came out and gave us 100%.
And they sure did. And then I brought up some things that I liked, and was Hermantown maybe a little bit better? Yeah. They were a little bit better team. I thought Grace Wagner played outstanding, which was what they needed to stay in the game. The Falls had a hard time against the skating of Hermantown. I thought the skating was a little more with, like, they had 7, 8, 9 girls that could kind of really go, and the Falls had maybe 5 that could really go. Not saying the other girls are less, but the most important thing that I saw out of this group of girls, and it's really good because the 5 seniors that leaving, but they're going to have basically the nucleus of the whole team back next year. So 11, 12 good returnings, a lot of juniors, and what I liked is they're willing to play for each other.
Yeah.
And not willing to play just for themselves. And to me, that was the difference in this team. Not saying they played for themselves last year, but I
Right.
guess I'm saying that.
Yeah.
But I thought this team was closer. I thought the leadership group was solid in that all the girls got along. And to me, that was why they won so many games, is because they all fought for each other. They all won for each other. There's no individuals, there were some couple of individuals that put up good numbers, but they also gave credit to their teammates, and that's what I like most about this team.
As many people know, I do the stats and history books and all that stuff for a lot of the teams. I updated the girls' goal scoring for a career today. I had a few moments to kind of look through that and update that. And I did the page, I set it away, and I came back like an hour later and I looked at it and I'm like, nope, that can't be right. I got to go get the book again. I got to make sure I got that right. Because Amber Thielander was at the top for goal scoring for a career, 143 goals. Mm-hmm. And then at the bottom, where Grace Bragg got added in, Morgan Rasmussen got it added in at 27 and 20 on the top 20 all-time goal scorers. And I'm like, that can't be, but it's right. Yeah. But it's right. It's amazing to see what Amber Thielander did through the years, putting the puck in the net, and 143 sits out way above and beyond. And it was just to me was absolutely mind-blowing to look at that number, a number that, frankly, whether there's a team here for the next
5 years
or the next 100 years, 143 goals in a career is monumental.
Mm-hmm. And now too, I mean, it's tough to compare. Again, we go back, but she played basically from 7th grade on.
6 years. Yep, absolutely.
And but even back then, you could tell there was something about her, and she just got stronger, faster, better. And I saw that a lot in Rasmussen and Bragg, and
yes.
The one that really kind of stuck out towards the end was the Sears girl, and she's going to help out a lot next year. And I really like the core group of this guy.
They got to find one defenseman, and somebody's gonna have to go back and be that fourth.
Black was solid, but I like that one line with Wright, Vollum, and Yoder. I mean, they picked it up, and that's the best I've seen Maggie play. I've been watching her the last 3 years.
And I'll ask this because I'm going to guess this, and this is just a guess. I'm going to guess that one of the forwards is going to have to go back and play on the blue line next year. Is there one of those girls that you see might be better to go back and play in the blue one? Because they didn't have a JV team towards the end of the year, and they had just 4 defensemen. That's all they played all year was 4 defensemen, and they're losing Marissa Carey. Somebody's going to have to fill in that spot. Do you see maybe one of those forwards that could do that?
Well, it has to be someone that can handle the puck pretty well. I like Shinners as far as her work ethic. Probably more suited to be up front. Maybe Vollum.
Okay.
Then you're hurting that one line. But I like, I guess you got to look at the, Kiana Kittleson and Hergis, and they're all seniors.
They're all seniors,
One of them might have been able to drop back, but that'll be up to who's ever coaching next year, whether Gerald comes back or I haven't got an inkling one way or another what he's going to do, but we'll see.
The boys' Section 7A standing seedings will come out towards the end of this week. I'm being told Friday, which makes absolutely no sense since they're playing on Saturday. But as of right now, the seedings are to come out on Friday, and of course,
ridiculous.
I don't know where we're going to be at. If you look at the QRF, and I know you don't like the QRF, the Broncos' new QRF today, they are 7th, and they are a solid 7. They're not even within the tiebreaker to get to 6. So I know that will upset you.
That's all based on overall because St. Paul Johnson not doing well, although they did beat Virginia. That's got to be a feather in their hat right there. And
the Broncos could and the point I wanted to make, the Broncos could end up anywhere from 4 to 7.
Yeah,
that's legitimate. And of course, Tuesday night
depends on the conspiracy with Iron Range teams talking to each other before the meeting.
And the Tuesday games will have a lot to do with this. Denfeld playing Evelyn, Hibbing is playing. I can't remember.
Oh, they got tough. They can't win their last.
They can't win their
One's
last game.
against Hermantown and one's against Greenway.
I think yes, it's against Greenway. Thank you. So the whole thing, Hibbing's got like 6 wins on the season. The Broncos have a dozen. Denfeld's above them right now, but the Broncos beat Denfeld. But Denfeld beat Evelyn, who's up above twice. And of course, the Broncos tied Virginia. Nobody else can say that out of those teams. With Virginia,
they played Greenway tough the second time.
They played Greenway 2-2.
The Crookston loss could hurt them.
Yeah, and of course they got Lake. If this goes till Friday, the Broncos do have Lake of the Woods on Thursday as their final game. So I told Coach McDonald yesterday at the Broncos skating thing at 8th Street that we'll be able to make our decision Wednesday morning because we'll know what the results of Tuesday night's games, and we'll see where the Broncos, if the Broncos end up 7, they play at home on Saturday night at 7 o'clock in that game. So that's a possibility. If they get 6 or above, they don't play until Tuesday.
If they get a 7,
it'll be on the road.
It'll be an absolute travesty. That means the system's broke.
I agree with you, Mike. I'm not going to argue against that. If they get the 7, then the coaches are purposefully.
So we need Greenway's vote. We need Virginia's vote. They saw how tough the Broncos can be. So Virginia and Greenway are key votes for the Broncos.
Absolutely.
Put them in at a 4. Don't mess around.
You think a 4. You're thinking that they're going to get the 4, and I'm asking.
I just look at Hibbing's collapse. I mean, they got that one key tie. They're going to say, hey, we beat the Falls. But it was the first week of the season.
Yep.
You know, I don't know who I want, Denfeld or Evelyn.
Yeah.
I don't know which would hurt us more or help us more. I don't know.
Yeah, and to me, I like I said, it's going to be tough to get above Evelyn. The Hibbing loss all plays in there, but we're ahead of Denfeld. It's going to be an interesting meeting. I would love to be a fly in the corner.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Our next show is there's already going to be games played by the time we get to it, so we can't really go over the seedings. But maybe we'll make something work out. We're trying to get Randy Catron up here from up north, whatever, and he's always fun to listen to.
Yeah,
he just travels all over the northern Iron Range and watches hockey games.
Can't get any better than that, Mike, as far as I'm concerned.
Let's get Paul up here.
Paul, you want to come in for a sec?
Got a couple minutes, and of course Paul, one of the co-owners here at Looney's Brew, and
you're gonna slide a stool in.
Yeah, we'll let him go between us. I feel real uncomfortable being in the middle, and
that's the way that it is. So. All right, he's got something on his mind, Paul. I don't know.
Oh no, you're the question guy.
I'm the question guy.
No, I walked in here tonight, and all happy and excited, and so we haven't been here in a while. And of course, I like coming to Looney's Brew. The first thing I did when I walked in is I looked up at the TV, and a little smile came across my face. But at the same time, I said, I can't believe they did this. Did they sell their soul to the devil and bring in a TV in here, a big screen TV in there? What made you guys cross over?
Well, with the Vikings doing so well and stuff, and then also with Winter Olympics kind of going on, to have the different options available, and figured go big with that one. It's the first TV I've ever actually bought. So figured, well,
what are you, a bowling league and you win the rest of them, or what?
No, I just computers. I just go online, I inherited TVs from other, being the youngest of 5, you get some hand-me-downs.
Okay.
So take advantage of that. But
so does it have anything to do with your demographics? Are you trying to appeal to a larger audience with TVs, or basically it's a business decision, and you think that's the way to go?
I think for certain
I'm not trying to get
occasions,
information out of you.
I think for certain situations it's appropriate to have it, and then, eventually I'd like to hook up so that we can have when game isn't going on or something on the TV, then we can do our promotions for upcoming music events.
Sure.
And that's a little bit more visible.
Stanley Cup playoffs is pretty big around here. People like to run around and watch. Geez, I really like to do that.
See?
Yeah. I mean, I'll sit right where your brother is right there, and I'll sit and watch Stanley Cup playoffs. But, personally, I think it's a good move. And the reason I look at it this way is if you got the right crowd in here and they want to listen to music, you just turn the TV off.
Yep.
Right? You can turn the TV off anytime you want.
There's on and off buttons with everything nowadays.
Now, if you get one down on the deck where I like to sit during the summertime, is that going to be a possibility where Bully Boy can sit down there
and watch the Twins?
That'll be a heck of a probably an illegal transfer of TV cable over the alleyway.
We'll figure something out.
Maybe Lagoo, who lives next door, she can hook us up.
We can figure something out. Or wireless broadcasting or something.
Sitting out there watching the U.S. Open golf or what have you.
Yeah, there's options for that. Or we talked about in the past actually doing a projector.
So it's like any other business. You're trying to offer more to a bigger, broader base of customers to increase your traffic flow.
Yep, and just make the customer happy. Number one thing with business.
And speaking of business and customers happy, how's things been?
Not too bad. A little bit slower this year, or slower this time of year, and then also we just I just got our signs up on the Snowmobile Trail. Went all the way down to Rocky Ledge.
Okay,
As it was
wow.
a turnaround point, so we got about anywhere from like 11 to like 13 signs up pointing to this direction. Some of them point both directions because all roads lead to Looney's.
And the
So,
trail goes by where? Out by Rainy Lake One Stop there?
it goes over there. It goes the scenic route. It goes down. There's two main trails that kind of head down. One's a little bit west and one's east, and we hit signs on both ones,
good.
and then all the way down there. We were hoping to go to Ord, but we got going a little bit late, and so
Sure, next year.
Yep, slowly build on it.
Okay, and then you see business, of course, improving as we start getting into March and April, and of course when the ice starts to melt, then rock on.
Yeah, it should be
Yeah.
good, and we're just getting set with adding, moving our
Yeah, I see that.
our keg cooler from the deck bar up here.
Okay.
So then we'll have the option to have 16 of our own beers on tap.
Wow.
Wow. How many did
So-
you have last summer?
Last 4, 4 or 5 probably.
Okay.
And that's, we're still less than a year into being official, so
Yeah, of course, let's not forget about that cucumber drink. That is amazing.
the
So,
Looney's cooler, yep.
the Looney's Cooler, I highly recommend that little bad boy, and it tastes great, and it's less filling.
It's a nice, refreshing drink,
Yeah,
and
it
it's
is.
surprising, even though it's like, it's a popular one in the summertime, but there's a lot of people that order it still in the wintertime.
So there you have it, Ringer. You got any questions? I'm done.
I'm looking at the remodeling. It just continues to keep doing it. What's the plan? We're looking beyond the camera here and where the bathroom used to be. We're taking things out. What's the plan?
We're gonna connect both of the rooms and then add an extended bar over there. So that's where the new keg
get
system
it.
will kind of come up, and then we'll be able to serve people a little bit better in the back, and
So the
kind
bar
of.
will kind of sit through there, and
It'll go all the way through here, and so we'll have quite a few more extra bar stools because kind of coming
Absolutely.
out, people like to sit at the bar. So,
Yep.
and then in the back, with this kind of removed, you'll be able to actually see kind of the skyline and the horizon instead of looking out to another building or the street.
Oh, awesome.
So,
Yeah, I've always liked that view right out those windows. I mean, they're not great big windows, but you can see a lot out of them.
well, and myself, I've never, this is the first place I've ever lived where you can sit and look off to another country, which is
Definitely.
kind of unique.
That's
It is very
something to
unique.
put in the advertising,
Yep.
absolutely. Well, I think that's what we got. We found out a little reason why, and it makes total sense to me, and I think it's going to help a lot.
Baby steps.
There you
Baby
go.
steps.
All right. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Paul.
Yep, thank you.
I will just kick you out of here.
All right,
That's what we do.
I'll take this one.
So we got to make a plan for next weekend because I'm going to be gone on Monday. The next couple of Mondays I'm going to.
I'm off next Monday. It's a holiday.
So we should try to do something like early in the day because I'm going to Two Harbors next Monday.
What do you say, like a Monday in the day?
Yeah, or either that or we.
Well,
may
we could do that. Maybe kick off we'll get down to the final 8 as far as section 7, and we could go over that and also go over the other sections and
We could-
maybe talk a little bit of wild, but we'll mostly talk about section 7 hockey.
That sounds like a plan.
Sounds good. We'll do a little Q&A and get out of here. Q&A, questions. We love questions.
Lloyd, are the Gophers going to win another basketball game? The man's going to win another basketball game this year?
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Who on the schedule can we beat? Do we got Penn State again?
I don't know if there's anybody out there that we can.
You know,
beat.
normally I check to see who we got playing, but they're so bad I don't even check.
It's
This
all
to
over.
me, and I said this early in the year, if this team doesn't make, I don't care about Lynch or Coffey or anybody. To me, even with the injuries and the excuses that Coach Patino has thrown out there, this is by far the most disappointing Gopher basketball team in the history of Gopher athletics.
Wow.
And I'm not a fan of excuses. That's your fault. You're the ones that recruited in Canody and Hurt and all these other guys. If you're going to recruit Division III players, this is what you get. And that's what they are. They should be playing for Augsburg. And there's a lot of great basketball players come out of Augsburg. One of them
Yeah.
played for the Lakers.
One of them
So
played for the
I'm not
Lakers.
downplaying Division III at all, but you need to be an elite player to play for the Minnesota Gophers, and right now they got 4 or 5 players that are not Division I players on that team.
Gophers have no chance to make the NCAA tournament. I mean, they can make a run and win the Big Ten tournament. I shouldn't say they have no chance, but the chances of that are happening. I might be able to fly when I walk out this door too. So
I would pay to watch that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else? What do you got? Questions?
Think it's going to be a late winter or early
Ooh,
spring?
he's already predicting ice out on us. It's February 12th. He wants to know ice out.
It's cold.
It's great cold.
Ice out is well. Last year we got sizzled. I mean, we got through March, it was fine, and then April was cold.
Yeah.
And I hope we don't get that, because it makes for a long April, and it just seems like fishing came upon us, and next thing you know, it was June.
Easter's early. Easter's April 1st this year, I think, if I remember right. Early ice out. We're gonna go about the 23rd of April. Ice out.
I'm going late May 8th.
Fast opener?
No, the opener will be open. When's the opener?
Ooh. The 6th. The 6th is a Sunday, so the 12th must be the opener.
Okay, May 8th is perfect then.
May 8th is perfect.
Yeah, good luck fishing.
You were talking about curling earlier.
Uh-oh.
What is the United States going to have to do so they can be competitive in curling? We seem to get our butts kicked out.
It's interesting that everybody talks about Schuster, and I know he's not a Schuster fan. And they had a nice big article in the Duluth paper, because Schuster's from Chisholm and lives in Superior now, and they had a big article about him a few weeks ago. And that when they came out of the 2014 Olympics, of course everybody was down on Schuster. He got like 9th or 10th place out of 10 teams, and they were down on him. And they started to put this program together where they were going to basically pay the Olympic athletes to not have jobs, to come in and work out, get in better shape, eat better, and be athletes and whatever else. And they didn't even invite Schuster to this. So Schuster went out and started recruiting. He got Tyler George from Duluth, and he got this Hamilton guy who did not play well in the mixed doubles. And he got, I can't remember the lead's name right now. And they basically
Like you said, nobody remembers the lead. Go ahead.
Yeah. And they basically said, okay, we're rock bottom. We need to try to pull this out of the fire. And they went in with no money, no whatever, and they made the 2015 Worlds. They won the U.S., they went to the Worlds, and I think they got 5th. And then the next year they got some money and they started whatever, and I think they took 3rd. And then last year they took 4th. So in the Worlds, where you see some of the best curling, they've got a 5th, a 3rd, and a 4th the last 3 years, I believe, if I remember right. So the expectations going into this tournament are very high, I believe, in that if he pulls another 9th or 10th place, then it's going to be very interesting to see where they're at. But he's lost 30 pounds, and he's they talked about all these things. He's growing up, he's got a kid now, and how that changes you. We all know how that, those of us that have kids, how that changes us. So I thought it was very interesting how he, I think, is going into this Olympics, and anything not playing in like the semifinals, making it to the top 4 for him would be absolutely unthinkable. So I'm expecting good things out of the men's curling.
The male from the mixed doubles team is the lead for Schuster.
Is he the lead?
Yeah.
There you go.
They curled very well. Their statistics, when you look at the sheet, they're right up at the top. But whenever it came to making
That big shot.
they didn't do it.
Yeah, that is right, and that's another 4 years. That's another being more mature and hopefully being able to settle down and make those big shots and that.
Being clutch under pressure is separate the people that don't get medals from the ones that
There's no
do.
more pressure than the Olympics. I mean,
Yeah.
they were fun to watch, though. That mixed doubles team was very fun to watch. They were a fun brother and sister.
Yeah, it's
Do they yell at each other a lot?
No, actually, I was surprised how well they got along. I'm like,
Considering how bad they were.
You would think that they would be whatever. Now, how about the brother and sister from the United States that are figure skating together, the dancers? I'm like, man, how do they make that work? You think they'd be like, I know how brothers and sisters can be.
Well,
like,
do you have sisters?
I have 3 of them.
Do you ever go to wedding receptions?
Yep.
Do you dance with your sister?
No. Well, that's
A little too fast.
Probably the other way around, she won't dance.
that's a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, and make sure.
No,
it's
it depends
Make,
upon-
make sure it's a fast song.
I was going to say, are we slow dancing or are we fast? Because if we're fast
No,
dancing, then hey, we're dancing with everybody.
Eric Clapton, "Wonderful the Night Comes On." That's not a time to ask your sister to go dance.
There you go. That's very good.
All right, what else? You got a question? Or did you already have one?
He had one. He asked about ice out, but he's got
ice
another one. You can see
I
it.
can think of another one. You guys doing the fishing tournament coming up?
Well, that's a great question because here's the deal: the Bronco boys hockey team
Yep.
theoretically could be playing hockey on either Friday night the 23rd, or Saturday the 24th. So,
And the Derby's on the Saturday?
it's on Saturday the 24th. So all bets are off. I can't commit either way, but that's big hockey Saturday. Last year we were at the semis for the 4 games in a row. That's a pretty good day too. I'm not nothing against the ice fishing, the fishing derby, but four high school hockey games in a row is a pretty good day.
Yeah, and I did buy a ticket, but unless somebody has a house and the house is heated and the holes are drilled,
And somebody beats my hook for me.
I will go.
Do you need a
Okay.
TV?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yes, he needs the TV. That was the question in case you didn't hear it. What's that?
And some beer.
Actually, the cucumber loonies, what do you call it? I'll take 3 of those. I'll take 3 of those. What else? Anything? One
We
more.
were talking earlier about the local high school sports.
Yeah.
Any of those players going to be moving on to college that we're going to be able to see them?
That one girl?
Amber Thielander will be playing Division III hockey for St. Scholastica.
Oh, okay.
And actually, one of the Fort Francis girls, she's going to be playing for UWS next year.
Yeah.
So we'll have that. As far as
Boy, Trimble Butler, you can tell them what's happening with Trimble.
Trimble Butler, who's on the boys hockey team, also a baseball player, signed with St. Cloud State, Division II. So he'll be, after this spring, he'll be heading to St. Cloud State. And hopefully Trimble will be healthy. He did not play at Greenway, nor did he play at Crookston, by the way. I don't know if you
did
knew
not know that, no.
Bad back, and they've been trying to get him healthy for the playoffs. So hopefully he will be back. And I know they also didn't have Jackson Germain on Saturday at Crookston due to illness. So they had their
Well, the
their two-
Crookston game, that explains the Crookston game a
Yeah,
little more.
you take your 2 centers off your top 2 lines and
Yeah.
take them out of the lineup. Now you're messing with power play, shorthanded. Everything was discombobulated. So.
Great question. Yeah, that's what we know right now. There's some other players that might be good enough to try playing over in Fort Francis for their junior team there. We'll see what happens.
Nathan McRoberts is going to go punt for University of Minnesota Crookston next year. And I'm trying to think. Oh, and Emma Gilbert.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to think. I was going through my brain hoping that if I talked long enough, they were going to come to my head. But Emma Gilbert is going to go throw shot put in the field events for North Dakota, which is Division I next year. As you know, she was state champion last year in the shot put.
Which North Dakota?
North Dakota, University of North Dakota.
Okay.
So she'll be heading out there, and I know that Gage Worley signed to play baseball at Valley State in North Dakota.
North Dakota Valley City area, probably.
Valley City, right? I got to make sure I get that right. So those are the 5 kids I know that have signed letters of intent to play next year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for a few offers.
Are you?
To
play
You've used
quarterback.
up your eligibility. Providence took care of that
But I
for you.
still got my quarterback. Well, we're done, I think.
That's it.
Don't
Thanks,
take us too
everybody.
serious.